What's up, collective learners? Welcome back to History Before Us. Today I'm in Richmond, Virginia, linking up with archaeologist Tim Roberts for a deeply important journey into memory, identity, and truth. We're visiting two powerful places, the Sons and Daughters of Ham Cemetery and the Burial Ground Memorial at the University of Richmond. We're going to talk about what these sites mean, what they reveal about Richmond's layered history, and why protecting sacred spaces like this is part of protecting our collective humanity. If you believe unheralded history matters, do me a quick favor. Like, comment, and share this video. It really helps this channel reach a wider audience and make sure these stories travel further than we ever could go alone. Tell us where we're at, brother, and what is your involvement at this site?
Right on, yeah. So we're in Henrico County.
Henrico.
Right at the city-county line. Okay. So University of Richmond, right, is in Richmond.
Mm-hmm. And if I can remember correctly, their mascot, they're spiders?
The spiders.
All right, I got it.
Yeah.
That's one thing I got right.
Right on, yeah. I'm actually, I like spiders, the animal, as a matter of fact. I had to get over that arachnophobia at one point. And considering what I do, I'm glad that that's not throwing me off these days.
For sure. But yeah, sorry to interrupt, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is Sons and Daughters of Ham Cemetery. To be honest, I don't know specifically exactly when it was established. The individuals that founded the community of Greenville, which was here on Bandy Field. Okay. So this is where we're at. Moses, James, and Silas Bradford, three brothers enslaved by the Green family, Benjamin and Julia Green.
Is that an E at the end of that, or
no E?
No E. Okay.
Just like the color. They owned, just for a couple decades before the end of the Civil War, what is now University of Richmond, and a lot of that area, including up here, was a large plantation they called West End.
West End.
Yeah, okay. and the plantation use of that property goes back into the 18th century, so into the 1700s, mm-hmm. and they acquired a mill site in like 1848, I believe, under Julia's name, which is kind of interesting. That figures in. And then, later on, the larger property. Benjamin Green, like a lot of those, rich guys, had a lot of business interests. Mm-hmm. Their home, the Greens' home, was on Three Chopped Road, which you might have been on, mm-hmm. Which is like a main drag. It's a very, very old road. Goes all the way out west, through the state. And it's called Huntley. Okay. It's on the National Register. You can see it. And, it's one of the reasons that this place to me is so special is that unlike so many of our sacred spaces, it's not threatened. Yeah, especially now that it's owned by the nonprofit, Friends of Sons and Daughters of Ham. The president of our organization is a descendant who, till she was probably 9 or 10, grew up, here at Greenville.
So Greenville, when was the community raised to, because if you're saying she grew up here from 9 to 10, that means there were homes here in her present memory. Yeah,
and so you remember I was talking about the KMZ files that you can open up on Google Earth? So I've got a couple 1937 aerial photos where you can see the houses, you can see the lodge that they built, Hams Hall number 175.
So this is recent.
This is recent, yeah. So it was founded by 1870. I brought the 1870 census here. Before then, 1867, the Bradfords are on the voter rolls for this voting precinct, first time, and it was 1955 that the city, eminent domain. Yeah. Almost bad words. That's when the homes were raised. Okay. And the city had annexed, like I was saying, part of Henrico County that came out this way. The line cuts through the field, so cuts through Greenville. And in 55, the reasoning, the motivation for the eminent domain acquisition was to build a public school because the population out here was expanding rapidly. Mm-hmm. End of the war, World War II, and you can see it. It's fascinating when you look at the sequence through like the aerial imagery. Okay. How if you look at like 52, you see, like a road has been cut in over mm-hmm. here. You look at 55 and you've got like, houses and roundabouts and like the suburban stuff mm-hmm. you think, 800 square foot, 3-bedroom homes, right? Like affordable homes for these GI Bill soldiers. Yep. And it was billed as, and it was like white flight is not something that we just made up. No. This was encouraged, in fact.
Yes, for sure.
So it was like, white man's paradise kind of thing. And Greenville, I guess, didn't fit into the plan. Westwood is another settlement, as folks kind of call it. Westwood is very much still in existence.
Okay.
Also established, kind of formally, probably 1872. Westwood Baptist Church is out there, and it's also in the 1st District, so where University of Richmond is, just next to where we are. Matter of fact, the line is just past our property line on the other side of this fence over here. So that's University of Richmond's property. This is Sons and Daughters of Ham property, and then we got the city managing.
Split up with everybody.
So,
oh my God. Oh, I see a witness tree. So this tree was here prior to.
Check this out. So like I said, they annexed this area in 1942.
Yeah. And just so you all can see real quick, right there. So I'm not bull jiving that this is actually a witness tree. Yep, right there. We're talking about the scars on it.
So here's that tree.
Yep.
Here's that tree. This is I got it on a transparency. I was trying to do like a analog augmented reality thing.
I gotcha.
Because if you're standing up in the field over there and you hold this up in the right spot, you can see this shape, you can see this tree. This is a photograph from an April 1st, I believe April 1st or 2nd, 1943 Richmond Times-Dispatch article about the burning of the lodge. There was a forest fire, I guess, that came through here. And down in the bottom over there, I was doing some survey, and they're actually like old fence posts that are burned on one side. So the fire came across. This is the smoldering ashes, the ruins of what was there, but the detail is pretty incredible. You got some brick piers, you got a potbelly stove that's fallen over, brick over there, So this is so far the only photograph that's not an aerial image of the lodge or really anything out here.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I believe that Ham's Hall, which was right here, and in fact, I could grab the leaf blower actually and blow some of this off to show you.
I like the crunchiness.
There's,
you're trying to
because there's
show a clear depiction.
So this is where the hall was, and if you check out, probably, let's see, right around here is.
You got to. You know what? You got to tell people what you actually do. He's got his tools. I know y'all like, well, that's rather convenient, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm an archaeologist. Yeah, I started a company called Black Star Cultural Resources in 2023.
Yeah.
After some years with the Virginia Department of Historic Resources, and in fact, it was work with Westwood that actually gave me that final push to start my own thing.
Yep.
I needed to be able to be an advocate. And that's something that's really limited when you're a government employee.
For sure.
Yep.
So
I may not even be able to find it.
Yeah.
But there are pieces of part of the foundation that are out here. There's like a bit of a slab. There's a bunch of brick. And so, that material evidence is I think it's just so powerful.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's here and pretty much on the surface, even though it's covered with this leaves and duff. That's one of the things about this spot that is so incredible is that the historic cultural landscape that the ancestors established is still here.
For sure.
Like, we don't have to make it up. We can actually uncover the paths, find the enclosures, we're finding graves and it's right on the surface, and you dig down, and I'll show you some spots, a couple inches, and it's like a whole different world is opening up in front of your eyes. So it's really special in that way. And because we're surrounded by, the nice neighborhood of College Hills, Bandy Field, they call it Bandy Field Nature Park.
Okay.
I would like for it to be Bandy Field Nature and Historical Park.
That would be nice.
And
there are no burials up here, correct?
There are not. It's kind of tricky. Like, I've got a record in here from a child named Sadie Bradford, who was the daughter of Moses Jr., Moses Bradford Jr. and Susanna Williams. She died when she was 2, tuberculosis, 1913. And on her death certificate, I've got her birth certificate and her death certificate. On her death certificate, it says place of burial at home, and the undertaker is her father.
Which lived Over there.
in a house right here.
Okay.
So
And it's not uncommon that people did have cemeteries in their backyards back then. I've seen it in a lot of places and at their homesteads.
yes, yeah. I mean, and you think about, the limits of where it is that you can do that.
Bury someone there. Yeah.
I mean, on the east end of Henrico, you've got Evergreen Cemetery, which was established. I wish I could tell you the date, but I was just
they're
looking
doing
at
great
it.
work too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Similar to Bandy in a way. Just recently, so that's in Henrico County, but the city of Richmond has taken over the sort of management, de facto ownership of it.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a whole story about Evergreen Cemetery,
Yeah.
but I mean that's on the far end of town.
Yeah.
And they had their spot here. As you can imagine, in '55, everybody's gone. They're not using this place. But to your question, man, people have known this is a cemetery, has been a cemetery for most of the time, especially in the early days.
Okay.
A lot of people come out here and they had no idea. People come out and say, "Oh, I've spent a lot of time down here," and you got the park right there. So people kind of assume that this is part of the park, and it's not. It's a private parcel and it's a memorial space. It's not a recreational space. This fence right here, this is new. We just put this up.
Looks nice.
Thank you. And the reason we put it up is that our board and the descendants didn't want cyclists using this as part of their route.
Yeah.
And frankly, the cyclists were very upset about it. Very upset. And they were like, doesn't this have to be ADA accessible and and so on? It's like ADA accessible so you can ride your road bike through, you know. So, but we put it up in part to help with placemaking.
Yeah.
So that people do recognize. We've got a county historical highway marker, Henrico County marker, which you'll see the green signs around. And so we've got one, and we're going to put it on the other side of another section of the new fence over here, mulch that area in.
Okay.
And let folks know it's you're welcome to visit.
For sure.
It's not a place of public gathering. There aren't plots here for sale to the public. It's a private historic space. And so, but again, that's really, but you're so right, because people, you got the park here, the university here, these kind of public spaces.
Yeah.
People see these woods and they're like, okay, this is part of the park. I have access to this. I'm going to go just, do whatever. And for the most part, people are respectful. But that's really one of the things that's really motivating me to really start a mindful restoration with better interpretation. We've got a little interpretive kiosk there.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, if we can walk over to the
let's go down.
pseudo headstone.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. And then we can go to the real one too.
Okay, yeah, that'll be good. Let's definitely make that happen. We're out here at a good time too. There's no snakes out and all that stuff like it is in the summer.
71 degrees, man. You picked the right time.
Yeah, I know, right? Those Virginia summers. All right, so this is it. Moses Bradford, Company G, 25th U.S. Infantry.
It's my mom's birthday, actually,
Really?
30 years later.
Wow, and he's a Buffalo Soldier too.
He was a Buffalo Soldier. I don't believe his headstone says Buffalo Soldier, actually, and on the back there is also something that was added that's more about Queen V. Bradford, who her plot is over here, actually. Big, massive stone. Talking about people knowing this was a cemetery, I was out here one day working, and when you do archaeology in a publicly visible place, people are going to come up and ask you what's up.
For sure.
Especially if they've been walking through here or whatever for 30, 40 years.
Right.
And so this woman came up to me and she said, "Oh, thank you so much for what you're doing. I used to come down here when I was a little girl. This is all woods, and me and my sister would come down and see what we would say. We're going to go to see the Queen's grave, because
We'll be talking about that one.
This big
It's
stone
huge.
here, it's huge. It was laying down, and that doesn't happen naturally. And the same guys that made that stone up there, they reset it. They put in these corners here, and they put in this rail. They didn't have an archaeologist involved. Unfortunately, there are other graves around here.
Do these white markers indicate that?
So-
like, what does that mean?
So you're gonna see a lot of flags out here.
Yeah,
And
Is this your work?
this is my work.
Okay. So this is your playground.
I mean, this is, sometimes I feel odd calling it my happy place, but particularly when you don't have like the leaf blowers going, we are in the suburbs,
Yeah.
and you don't have a game going,
quiet.
it's so peaceful.
Yeah.
And when we talk about a grave, we're talking about, to be technical in this context in a way, an archaeological feature. That's what I find.
Yeah.
The state of the remains, that's not the point. It's their final resting place. And if the grave's intact, I think especially, so are the ancestors.
For sure.
And also, I would argue that there are probably about, I believe there may be 300 people,
Really?
300 souls in this acre cemetery.
Goodness gracious.
And you can see probably even from here, this is my temporary solution right now, just to help me with analysis, the white colanders that are out there.
I thought they were spaghetti strainers.
They are.
Are they?
Yeah, they are. They're from Dollar Tree. They're covering cobbles, right?
Okay.
And I laid them out like that to, basically, because I've seen these cobblestones, I'm like, it would be very unlikely that you'd have rows of cobbles, associated with depressions. So I covered them up for the visual, for myself, and also to really get the number. And so if we're looking at, maybe 25 graves up in that corner, you can imagine looking around.
Yeah.
A lot of these orange flags out here are for some metal detector hits I had, including.
And so after you get these hits, like what is the follow-up for that? Like then do you dig at some point or?
So a little bit, like I was saying about the surface here, like the cobblestones, people have said, including Carolyn, folks have just thought this was like a very steep, eroded hillside and everything was just washing down. You don't have round river cobbles sitting on the surface, even on slopes, if you just got a bunch of active erosion going on. So even the metal detector hits are for the most part on the surface, like right here, we've got a bit of an iron enclosure. I got quite a bit of barbed wire. So there was barbed wire fencing around parts of the cemetery.
Yeah.
In one of these over here, we've got, and it was quite fascinating. I think it might be right here. Oh no, I just put that around some plants. I might not even be able to find it, which is okay. But it is, you ever see the temporary aluminum markers that funeral homes will put up?
Yes.
So a little piece of paper inside?
Yep.
So there's one of those out here.
Okay.
And again, just pointing to the fact that there are many more graves than what was marked.
Do we know, as far as the people who were here, like what would have been the earliest grave here?
That's a great question. Moses Sr., one of the three brothers that founded the community, he passed in 1912, but like I said, they were set up by 1870 on the census, good to go. And we're talking about a time when death was an everyday presence, was a close friend. So I think it's possible that as early as essentially the beginning of the establishment of the community, they may have been interring folks here. But here's the thing, and this is part of the reason we'll go down to University of Richmond.
Sure.
The burying ground down there could possibly go all the way back to the 1700s. Likely does.
And that's connected to this site?
Very much so, because what we had thought was that the use of that cemetery was specifically like bookended with the period of enslavement. So that 1865, that's possibly like the latest interment there. However, in 2022, Black Star was contracted. I know I hadn't actually started the company yet, but they had contracted me individually to help with some preliminary work for the memorial, to basically ensure that any construction out there wasn't going to impact resting places.
Sure. All right, so Tim, we've made our way to the University of Richmond,
Yes, sir.
right? And this is what you were talking about earlier as it relates to the tie to our earlier site to the University of Richmond.
Right.
Not the university itself, but the grounds.
That's correct.
Right. So tell us where we're at and this newly installed burial ground memorial. Give us the rundown and the connection.
Yeah. So let me go back in time. 1901. This property over here, this is owned by West Hampton Amusement Park Company.
Okay. There was an amusement park in 1901.
And it's part of a corporation. They were constructing the streetcars. Richmond has the oldest citywide electric streetcar system in the world. 1888, that was established. And the streetcars, so this is not like a municipal project. It was a privately funded project. And at the very ends of these streetcar lines, they would build amusement parks as like a draw to get people to come from the city, because these are land development companies. So they're basically selling the land that you see as you make your way out to the amusement park. So the amusement park owns this. This property, including where we're standing here, was owned by the Grand Fountain, the Grand Fountain of the Order of True Reformers, which is a pretty famous mutual society. They had a bank, and in 1897, they acquired, I believe, about 600 acres. That included what sometimes they refer to as like the little triangle. It doesn't seem to fit into the boundary lines. And they were establishing what they called the Old Folks Home. It's a black retirement community, kind of on River Road that we drove down to get up here. And so 1901, the amusement park company hires the Olmsted brothers, like Frederick Law Olmsted fame, to help them design their amusement park. And they come down and they do a survey. And part of the topographic survey they've reproduced on the wall over here.
Okay. And
that is the first explicit reference that I've found to there being a graveyard here. It says graveyard on the map they drew. And in the correspondence, they even request that, because they were out here, they saw it. They said, can somebody get us a map that shows the full extent of the graves?
And this is back in the early 1900s.
This is 1901.
This is 1901 when they were concerned about that.
Right.
Okay.
And so 10 years later, the amusement park actually closes after a couple years. And 10 years later, the bank, the True Reformers Bank, folds. Obviously, they lose the property that they're building the Old Folks Home. It's acquired by the corporation. And then in 1910, 1911, they basically donate it to the university.
Okay.
They exchange $10 and they get this property.
$10 for a university.
And so it included this sacred space here that is a place of burial for people who were enslaved at West End Plantation. So the extent of it was massive, and includes where we were up at Greenville and Sons and Daughters of Ham Cemetery. Long way that way.
All the way over here.
Massive property.
And so what were the plantation homes here on this property then? So if we have a burial ground there, right? Do we know with any plots on the maps or what have you where there were other homes that we can reference and say that this burial ground just wasn't in the open field?
That's a great question. I mean, so historically, you've got West Hampton Lake over here. Okay. Massive lake, not a natural lake. It's actually a mill pond. There was a mill dam with a water wheel and everything.
Sure.
And you can imagine being on the landscape, right? There was a creek that actually came down through here. So just like historically where we were at Greenville, Sons and Daughters of Ham, this is like a confluence of two creeks. There's a spring-fed creek coming down, and one from basically a steep head coming down.
Yeah, you mentioned that up there too.
And then you got Little West End Creek at the bottom of the dam. So if you were here burying someone, or just here, you'd have the sound of the water wheel.
Yeah.
It was, I imagine it almost it removed you from so much, just in terms of the landscape and the experience of it. So as a plantation space, West Ham goes way back into the 18th century. And I think it's possible that, that people were being buried here, even then in the 1700s.
That early.
But as far as the landscape, you had the mill, but it's interesting, like other structures, I'm not sure. The Green, Benjamin and Julia Green, who owned the property at the end of the Civil War, their home is called Huntley, and that's on Three Chopped Road. It's on the National Register. You can see it. It's private property, but you can look it up. You can find the National Register nomination.
And so, And so I want people to get the understanding what we're talking about here. And they have this, an excerpt of When Great Trees Fall by Maya Angelou, the great Maya Angelou, right here. And this is in remembrance of those enslaved and laid to rest on this land.
Mm-hmm.
So what I want viewers to see here is that even though they see this memorial right here, right? So you all see this memorial, and the person that did this memorial is the same one that did the one at the University of Virginia.
Yes, Burt Pennock at Baskerville.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, but what I want you all to understand is that there are actual graves that are here. There's burials that are here on this property. Now, my question to you is, do we think that some of this parking lot also houses graves?
That was a question that we had.
And let's walk through. It's getting dark, so I don't want people to not be able to see everything.
The reason that I think it's unlikely
Okay.
is because there was a very steep drop to the creek down here that actually ran through this part right here.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's possible. And the fact that there was this continual amnesia over the years. I'll say one thing too that I think it's important to mention, that the University of Richmond has been reckoning with its history of enslavement. And the downtown campus, people were enslaved there. When they acquired this property and established it in 1910, the people buried here were not enslaved by the University of Richmond.
Right.
And it's important to them, that people know that.
For sure. But even though that's the case, and it wasn't here on this campus, the institution in entirety did enslave humans. It was just not at this location.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
I mean, so it's just like, oh, well, we didn't do it here.
Right.
But it still happened at the mothership.
And if you go into some of the buildings here, if you go into Richmond Hall, for example, there's interpretation of that history. In large banners hanging down. It's nothing in denial about it.
Good.
But I think it's possible. So in 1901, as I mentioned, which you see the map here. So here's where the Olmsted brothers are designating the graveyard. Okay. There is some of the earliest discussion of what we call in archaeology inadvertent discoveries. So, a grave we didn't know. We were just digging and we found this. Workers, and they say down in a hollow below the dam, right? Mm-hmm. Down in a hollow below the dam, workers uncovered the remains of what we believe to be some of Old Ben Green's slaves. And I don't know if maybe these are the hollows they're talking about that might have been excavated to reinforce the dam that was here.
Okay.
So it's possible that you had folks being buried off of the slopes. And I want to say 1913, that's when Richmond Way was being cut in.
Okay.
And there's a great picture of black men.
Oh, real quick before we go in there.
Oh yeah.
Look at this, you all. I mean, man, this was done beautifully. This was done beautifully.
People are very happy. I mean, it was 5 years of meaningful consultation with descendant families. Their names listed here, the settlements that they established, including Greenville.
Yeah. Ziontown. See that there again?
The Ziontown families were deeply involved.
Pilgrim.
Yep. Quioccasin. Yep.
Yep. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
It's getting dark, y'all, so I want to make sure y'all get to see as much of this as you can.
Well, when they were cutting in this road, and there's a photograph, there's a newspaper article that came out. It said workers working at the University of Richmond have encountered graves, caskets, skeletal remains. And when you see the cutting, it's like, oh, yeah, of course you did, So this is hardly 10 years, all right, after 1901. And at that time, when these were exposed, the university president in correspondence is saying, knowledge of this cannot be hidden. People need to know that this was here because there could be vandalism or who knows what. And then 20 or so years later, there's a steam tunnel that goes in. And decades later, in an interview with one of the engineers, the student reporter asked, did you encounter anything unusual when you were digging the trench for the tunnel? And he said, actually, yeah, funny that you ask. There was a row of graves that were exposed. And it's like, how do we keep forgetting this? But never again. Commemorated, honored, and...
Do we know exactly the meaning for all of these different installments?
I wish I could tell you. I mean, you know, I was the archaeologist for the project, and my role was to help ensure that none of the ancestors' remains were impacted or disturbed.
Do we know about how many people are buried here?
You know, it's difficult to estimate.
Okay.
The kind of most direct evidence is from the ground penetrating radar survey, not the first one, but the second one that was done by Martin Archaeology Consulting. And, you know, in the report, he says he was able to confidently confirm at least 60 graves.
60 right here.
But there are many more.
Sure.
Most certainly.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so, what are your thoughts just with seeing, over the past couple of decades now, universities stepping up and saying that we want to be intentional about doing things such as this? Like, what are your thoughts about that?
I'm thrilled, and it's been a long time coming. You know, obviously it's complex. I mean, the university systems, public, private, you know, there's a lot of politics.
For sure.
We know that, you know, and I'm glad that it happened when it did, because I think it'd be a lot harder to be implementing, you know, these really meaningful acknowledgments, this reckoning.
Absolutely.
Right now.
For sure.
So I'm glad it happened. Some of these designs are just incredible.
They are.
Like we were talking about the Davidson College one with the hands.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm moved just thinking about it.
Yeah, it's a great one.
You know, and I think it's important. I mean, this is, you know, a mostly white university. This is a private university, started as a Baptist school. And, you know, it's important that, and I'll just put it like this, that these privileged youth also get to come face to face with and reckon with this history, and they have a different view.
Sure.
You know, they can apply a lens that wasn't being applied in 1915 or even the year 2000 for that matter.
This is true.
So I'm proud to see it happen, and I think that what's wonderful is that when you have these spaces with incredible endowments and very generous alumni associations, you know, with the opportunity to invest in the exploration, preservation, and understanding of these larger landscapes that they own. It's like, what a powerful place as a jumping off point, you know, than, you know, our ancestors, you know, in the land.
Literally, right behind us, in the land, right behind us, you all. So I just wanted you all to see again that even though that this is nicely manicured, there are souls that are resting here in this lawn.
I kind of got involved with this in 2018. So the preliminary archaeological work I did in 2022 for the memorial project, that was later. But in 2018, I was with another company, Cultural Resource Analysts, and we were contracted to do a survey of the eco corridor. There's a stream restoration, so it's that little stream, that little West End creek that comes out from below the dam. That continues down, and they did a restoration of the stream. And so there is an outdoor kind of campus space for classrooms, you know, picnicking, that kind of stuff with that interpretation. So if it's like, if you want to do that, you know, you can go over there.
Go over there and do that, yeah.
But we got involved because they had re-identified the location, we're very confident about it, and we're concerned, as you asked, like, we don't really know the extent of all this.
For sure.
So we want you to test over there and let us know, you know, what's the chance that this could extend down that way. It didn't. We didn't find anything of the sort.
Yeah,
Found some cool stuff. But
that's cool.
You know, and with the identification, so back in 2018, one of the librarians here started like a base camp, you know, file database that some folks are part of, and so the research continues. The archaeology department is right over here in Richmond Hall.
Okay.
And yeah, I did some of the laboratory work as part of the project over there.
Sure.
Dr. Lizzie Bond, Dr. Derek Miller, just instrumental. I mean, just powerful allies, you know, really, and great archaeologists. Lizzie actually had her students up at Sons and Daughters of Ham where we were before I ever even knew about it.
Yeah.
I didn't find out about Sons and Daughters of Ham until 22. When I was out here just scoping it out, and I was looking at the map and looking at the site files. I'm like, oh, what's this Sons and Daughters of Ham Cemetery? And I went up there. That was my first time seeing it. I'm like, oh my gosh. And it didn't. But the relationships, see, in 22, when I was here, that's when I was telling you we found accidentally, because none of the work that we were doing, was intended to expose any remains, any offerings and mortuary context, you know. But in looking at an eroded side of the hill over here, trying to get a view of what the soil profile, the different layers of soil looked like, I ended up finding a late 19th, so post-emancipation, post the period of enslavement, late 19th piece of casket hardware that was like, boom, light bulb. Like this was actually in use longer than the period of enslavement. And as we were talking about before, how its use then appears to overlap with the establishment of the cemeteries at Greenville, at Westwood as well.
Okay.
So, you know, there's a direct connection.
We're talking a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is just amazing. It looks like water at some point in time would be coming through here, and perhaps some lights as well. So we didn't catch it on that day, but they have some faces that are etched in here, and there's a tribute by Tony Wynn that's down here. As you see right here, the portrait artist, Terry Davis, Ryan David, and Marlo Jones. And so, yeah, this is amazing. The fruits of your labor, and the pushback that you may get sometimes, and you know, and then the love that's wrapped around you at the same time for all the work that you do. When you see monuments or memorials like this come about, and you know that you've had some type of involvement with it, I mean, what does that say for you, and what does that say for legacy, and all those things wrapped up in a bow?
I mean, hands down, you know, it's a deep honor. I mean, I played a very small part in this, you know, even if it was something very sensitive. I mean, you know, all respect goes to, honestly, Amy Howard and the university for engaging early, you know, with the descendant families to come up with the design, to talk about, you know, the need for an archaeologist, you know, and to Bert as well. I mean, being instrumental in that, and, you know, making sure that I had what I needed to be able to do what was necessary.
For sure.
You know, and it's hard because archaeology can be kind of slow work, and it's interpretive. I mean, sometimes if you show somebody the soil coloration and texture, and you say this is the top of a grave shaft. I mean, I had folks out here saying, I wish I could see what you see, you know? And so it becomes a great, I think, opportunity to teach and share knowledge. But for the legacy, man, it's like, this is what I do. And, you know, I'm not a visitor here in Richmond, but I'm a newcomer. I've been here for maybe 7 going on 8 years. And every day, every conversation, every project, you know, I'm learning things that I wish, you know, I had learned at my grandmother's feet. So I'm very grateful to just like the recognition by, you know, those who do have that wisdom and whose cultural patrimony this is. It's an honor for me to contribute to its preservation.
Yeah, this is cool, man. Well, let's walk back through these doors before we close out here. And, you know, this is just for me speaking as the founder of History Before Us and this channel. And I tell people all the time, whenever my viewers see the content, that this is, it's always a collaborative learning deal. Because see, I didn't know any of this stuff before I came out here. You know, I didn't know about, you know, the other cemetery, the Greenville, the community, any of these things. And so that's why, you know, like sometimes when you all hear me speak and I may fumble over words or what have you, is because I'm trying to also come up with the question, because I have to separate myself from being very inquisitive and wanting to just know for myself, as well as remembering I got a camera and I'm trying to film and make sure that it's palatable to a certain degree, and that you all can understand it as well. But this is why I do what I do. And you know, you and I, we worked together on a project before that hopefully people will be able to see. And I just want to say I greatly appreciate you, your professionalism, and just how, you know, smart you are about all this stuff. Because I learned so much from you at the dig when we were at the other spot at the Plantation in Nelson County. And so it's just a pleasure working with you. And shout out your company, man. Shout out your company.
Black Star Cultural Resources, established 2023. Tim Roberts, I'm your guy.
Website,
Applied Archaeology. So the website is blackstarcr.com. It's a landing page right now. You know, I really need to get some content up there, but you know, I've been blessed.
And he's got plenty of content, y'all. He has to.
I mean, that's the thing, man. I've not even really been going out for bidded projects. I've gotten cold calls, you know, partnerships, the network, the relationships that have, I mean, I'm working off a backlog right now. So I need to get around to really being able to share this stuff with the greater public and with people that care about this work.
For sure. So, and there's a lot of people that do. Absolutely. Well, that has been our time. It's getting dark around here, so the camera's going to get affected to a certain degree. But like I always tell you, if you like this type of content, please make sure to subscribe and share. I'll make sure to leave Tim's information in the description of this episode below. Stay safe, keep learning. Peace and blessings.